There's a podcast that you will want to add to your playlist. Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Warriors for Christ is a Christian podcast providing biblical teaching without the doctrines of man. In other words, they like to let the Bible explain itself. The format includes non-denominational readings and teachings from the Bible. They also have interviews and whatever the Lord puts on their hearts to present. Life in this world can be very stressful and filled with anxieties. Warriors for Christ will give you the biblical information you need to help deal with all life has to bring. Warriors for Christ confronts many false doctrines which are pervasive in this age and what some call the church in a box. And they also offer a full gospel ministry. Find Warriors for Christ on Podomatic, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Player FM, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Podcast, and Spotify. Warriors for Christ. Share the podcast on all of your social media so your friends can listen to Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Add it to your playlist right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And this show we'll only have to do once today because if you were listening to yesterday's podcast, Kathy and I did 2 segments of the podcast, and I got a business call that came in. So we had to stop the show before the final segment for a business call, and I didn't save the audio because, we pre-record the podcast about an hour before it goes live online is when we record the podcast. And so the first 2 segments of yesterday's show were not saved, so we had to start the show over again yesterday. That will not happen today. It's very frustrating when that happens too. And of course, that's when all the great wisdom comes out. We had all the answers to all the problems
of the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We just lost it,
but it was just in this room. Nobody else heard it. Well, welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're going to get into in just a bit this grilling with Fauci. Fauci has a temper problem, and it showed today. He was caught on a hot mic moment, which was very revealing. We're going to get to that in just a bit. But I first wanted to talk about something that happened with Ted Cruz today. Now, Ted Cruz, last week, remember, you may have seen him grovel for MAGA forgiveness from Tucker Carlson. Last week, there was a Senate hearing. Ted Cruz, I think it was the Capitol Police Chief he was talking to, but it was a hearing on January 6th and all this. And he referred to the January 6th Capitol breach as a terrorist attack, which means that Ted Cruz was calling the people that went into the building terrorists.
Including Ashley Babbitt.
Yeah, Ashley Babbitt and all the rest. Yeah, and
shameful. It's not just that, Brian. He's calling Americans terrorists.
That's right.
Americans that were... A lot of them, most of them let into that building. Doors were opened. Things happened and police didn't stop it. There's a whole other story there. But I think as a politician, he sounded like a liberal when he said that. He sounded like Nancy Pelosi. And I think it was disgusting.
Well, and what I said last week, I want to say again why he said what he said. Now, he went on Tucker Carlson groveling, begging for forgiveness from MAGA. And he didn't mean to say that. And Tucker Carlson called him. He's like, I don't believe you. Every word you choose is very carefully crafted.
Absolutely.
And I agree. And I think what Ted Cruz did, Ted Cruz is a big picture guy. He's part of the establishment. I've talked many times about how his family go back to 1962 and 63 with the Bushes. You can go back.
He's connected.
You can go back and listen to those shows. Yeah. I'm not going to recap it all now, but he and his father go way back to the deep state and the political establishment with Bush 41, okay? So he's a big picture guy. And what Ted Cruz was doing when he referred to it as a terrorist attack, that was for the congressional record. He wanted in the Senate record himself, Senator Ted Cruz from Texas, saying that it was a terrorist attack. Then he went on Tucker Carlson. The reason he did that is a couple of reasons, but it's all the same reason in a way. I've talked a lot about what the political establishment's major plan is to declare MAGA a domestic terrorist organization, outlaw it, use that, call that an insurrection to forbid President Trump from running for office in the future. After the Civil War, there was there was a law passed that people that took part in the Democrat insurrection.
You've been saying this for months.
Yeah, the Democrat insurrection, which was the Civil War, that none of them could hold federal office because they didn't want General Lee to become president. They didn't want Jefferson Davis to become president of the United States.
Right.
And they want to use that law against Trump. And I think they still will. I think when the primaries come around, we are going to find a state or two that say, well, Donald Trump cannot be on our ballot because he took part in an insurrection, and there's a law against that. They're going to try to do that. And Ted Cruz wanted to be on the record so that history would record him calling it a terrorist attack.
Why you think?
Because he's with them. He's not MAGA. And
I think
he's with them. He's a spy.
I think somebody put him up to it. And I think they needed a voice from the right who's credible to people on the right. And Ted Cruz, he's not always seen as like, he's not like a Mitch McConnell.
Yeah,
he's but before this, he was always seen as kind of a rebel and standing up. That was his thing, standing up against the establishment and all this stuff. When all along you realize he's really part of it. And I think somebody put him up to it and they chose him to be the voice, because what they're trying to do, and I think he's obviously a party to this, is they're trying to make sure that they divide MAGA, and they want it. Their end goal is to keep Trump from ever being president again. And I think somebody put him up to it, and he agreed to be the spokesperson.
Ted Cruz,
and he regretted it instantly.
Ted Cruz's family go back almost 60 years with the political establishment. Ted Cruz's family connections to the political establishment are not going to end when he leaves the Senate. He plans on handing it over to someone.
No, I know, but I think somebody put that idea in his head. I don't think it solely came from him.
So, what happened on Tucker Carlson, that'll be forgotten in 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay? The Senate record will not. So, he's looking at the long game. So, he continued, but he said it was a terrorist attack. Now, today, there was a Senate hearing, and it was a lady named Jill Sanborn. She's the executive assistant director for the FBI's National Security Branch. And she was in a hearing and was being questioned by senators. And Rand Paul, that's coming up later. Ted Cruz was singing a different tune about January 6th with her. And it was pretty interesting. Listen to this. Ted Cruz today talking to this FBI assistant director. Pretty good stuff.
How many FBI agents or confidential informants actively participated in the events of January 6th?
Sir, I'm sure you can appreciate that I can't go into the specifics of sources and methods.
Okay, so that means there's some, because she didn't say none. That's ridiculous. She's saying, I can't go into that. But this is Ted Cruz today. He's trying to...
Big flip-flop.
Yeah, big time. From terrorists to now defending them.
He's trying to play both sides. I think...
Oh, it gets more.
He has deep regrets, and he realized the next day he really stepped in it.
Yeah, I mean, this is good stuff. Yeah. And, a week ago, they were terrorists. Now it was an FBI infiltration.
Well, let me tell you, people see right through him.
Yeah, they do.
Actively participated in the events of January 6th.
Sir, I'm sure you can appreciate that I can't go into the specifics of sources and methods.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants?
Okay, now her microphone is on, so you get you get reverb echo from Ted Cruz. That's not on our end. This was in the actual hearing today. That's not us. I'm sorry about that, but it's good stuff, and it's worth the annoyance of the echo to hear what Ted Cruz said to her.
And methods.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants actively participate in the events of January 6th? Yes or no?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Wow.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants commit crimes of violence on January 6th?
I can't answer that, sir.
Wow.
Did any FBI agents or FBI informants actively encourage and incite crimes of violence on January 6th?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Ms. Sadburn, who is Ray Epps?
I'm aware of the individual, sir. I don't have the specific background to him.
Well, there are a lot of people who are understandably very concerned about Mr. Epps. On the night of January 5th, 2021, Epps wandered around the crowd that had gathered. And there's video out there of him chanting, "Tomorrow We need to get into the Capitol, into the Capitol.
See?
This was strange behavior, so strange that the crowd began chanting, Fed, Fed, Fed,
Oh my
Fed,
gosh.
Fed, Fed. Ms. Sandburn, was Ray Epps a Fed?
Sir, I cannot answer that question.
Wow.
The next day,
Okay, so Ted
Well,
Cruz
he changed his tune big time.
Yeah, he's trying to re-infiltrate MAGA.
You think so?
Yeah, we heard what you said last week, Ted Cruz. I don't trust Ted Cruz.
I think the deal with Ted Cruz is he's all about Ted Cruz. I don't think he has allegiance to anybody other than himself. And I think he plays whatever side benefits him. That's how a lot of politicians are. I think he said the thing about the terrorists. It was somebody put that in his ear or whatever. He said it for whatever reason. Maybe at the moment he thought it would benefit him. He quickly realized it was definitely a huge, colossal error on his part. And now he's going to spend the next few months trying to redeem himself. Let him. I mean, good for him for asking her these questions. I think it's great, whatever his motivation is. I don't care. I just want the truth to get out there. That's all that matters to me. I don't think Ted Cruz will ever be president. He's not my senator. I don't give a damn. But if he can put these people publicly, hold their feet to the fire and get a dialogue going and get something going out there, who knows where that could lead? He's laying some good breadcrumbs here.
Those of you, everything he asked her was
very good,
great stuff.
Exactly.
No, but it's a big change from a week ago when they were all a bunch of terrorists. He's totally on the opposite side.
Total
now.
180.
Total 180.
Yeah, I think somebody had a little. I think the Tucker interview really shook him to his core.
Oh yeah,
and I think he had a come to Jesus moment. And he realized that he really, for lack of a better phrase, effed up.
Now, I want to mention this. I'm not going to get into this too much, but I want to mention this about this tennis player in Australia, okay, over the vaccine mandate. And, and Howard Stern has commented on this twice that I know of, and he commented on it again today. This is in Mediaite. Howard Stern goes off. He calls the guy and uses the F word. He said, throw him the F out of tennis. It goes on and on. And, a couple things about this, I'll say. First off, as a Jew, to require people to go to government doctors and have government mandated medical anything done from a Jew is really a sad state of affairs, because we know what the government required Jews to do in 19. Now, I'm not comparing.
Now you know how it happened.
I'm not comparing this to the Holocaust, but what I'm telling you is
the compliance.
It's a very strange thing.
Yeah.
And another thing, it's disappointing to me. I'm a fan of Howard Stern, and I didn't listen to his show for many, many years, because when he was on regular radio, before he went to satellite, he was on in Morning Drive always. And I have always worked in all the many years I've been on radio in Morning Drive. So I never really listened to him when he was on the radio. I was aware of him. I saw him on TV. I'd hear a clip here and there. But I have heard him many times on satellite, and I got a very big appreciation for Howard Stern. Howard Stern, what he does is not – they call him FM shock jock, but he's really a talk radio host. And I saw an interview with him a couple years ago on Netflix by David Letterman, and he was talking about how what got him interested in radio was Bob Grant, the great Bob Grant. Kathy and I went to dinner with Bob Grant with Steve Kane once. Yeah. And Steve Kane started out with Bob Grant out in Los Angeles in the 60s.
Influenced a lot of great people, apparently.
Yeah, and Howard Stern's style of radio isn't shock jock. It's really the Bob Grant style of radio.
He's very good on interviews, although I feel he's too focused on sex and people's sex lives. And I get a little tired of it. I think it's limited. I think it's juvenile. And I think he's a good interviewer. And I think when he does that, he's debasing himself. But I think that's his crutch. That's his crutch. Tell me about your sex life and this and that. He gets a little perverted for me.
I think Howard Stern is the best celebrity interviewer ever. I've heard him interview celebrities that I've never heard of, or celebrities I'm not interested in, and I'm fascinated.
He does get them to open
up. With
the
interviews. It's amazing. I don't like the sex stuff he does either. But here's the thing about Howard Stern, okay, other than the fact of the insensitivity of government-mandated doctors and the Holocaust and all this stuff. Howard Stern used to be on the edge and was fight the power and all that stuff, and now he's like
he sounds like Joy Behar.
Yeah, he's a compliant, go with the flow.
You know what that's
mainstream
about?
Old man.
He's an old man, and his wife has broken him. That's what that's
Why
about.
do you makes you say that?
Because he's henpecked and he's married to a younger woman. Before, he was married to a woman that was his peer. And I think a lot of men, when they marry a younger woman who's significantly younger and beautiful, they want to keep their woman happy. And his woman is probably, his wife is probably a big liberal. She's in with all these liberals. She wants to maintain her status. He's like Harry and Meghan. Like a
Prince Harry?
henpecked guy, exactly, and he's lost his own voice, and I think a lot of what he says is coming from her. Mm-hmm. That's just my opinion, I guess.
You may be right.
I mean, I think he's lost his edge, and he sounds like Geraldo, very angry and hostile. And look, we're finding out a lot of things that we all knew, but that are now getting public about all this nonsense. And I've always said all along, it's a decision you make with your doctor. Period. You talk to your doctor and you decide. Yeah. Your doctor knows your history. My doctor, my cardiologist has been treating me for 8 years. He knows me very well. We have a long history together, and I did what he told me to do. Okay. That's the way it works.
Now, of course, Valentine's Day is just over a month away, and there is no greater gift for your Valentine, no matter who they are, no matter how old they are, no matter how young they are, than the great products at MyPillow.com. And with the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, there are incredible deals. And I'm going to go through what I call the Brian Valentine's bundle at MyPillow.com. This is unofficial. It is not officially endorsed. Oh, by the way, Bed Bath & Beyond, they kicked Mike Lindell and MyPillow products out last year. They're closing almost 40 stores. And they have very low inventory. They can't even fill up their shelves. Well, they could fill them up with MyPillow products.
They blamed the supply thing, but I think it has a lot to do with people boycotting them because of what they did to Mike Lindell. I think that's probably took a bigger chunk. He was a huge part of their sales, and I think cutting him loose definitely hurt them.
Oh, yeah.
They're blaming the supply chain, but I think it's more than that.
Turn people off of their stores. But I'm going to go through what I'm calling the Brian MyPillow Valentine's Day bundle, and it starts, of course, with the MyPillow bathrobe. Kathy and I each have a MyPillow bathrobe. They come in many different colors. They have a lot of new colors in. No supply chain issues here. They have them all in stock, and they have styles for men and women and colors for men and women. A whole bunch of new colors in, and they also have a new style robe. We have the heavier robe. They have a new lighter robe, and with our promo code at checkout, Kane, 30% off the MyPillow bathrobe. And of course, with the MyPillow bathrobe, what goes better with a bathrobe than sleepwear? And MyPillow has sleepwear for both men and women. It is beautiful sleepwear, and it's 50% off with the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. That is an incredible deal, 50% off the MyPillow sleepwear. It's amazing, and they come in styles for both men and women.
And great birthday presents too. I was telling you today, I'm going to get my dad the slippers.
Oh, great.
For his birthday.
Well, the slippers are 40% off with the promo code
I think
Kane.
He'll really like them because he does have a little bit of back pain, and I think it would help him walking around. I think he'd appreciate them.
The MyPillow My Slippers, they come in styles for men and women. They go perfectly with your his and her MyPillow bathrobes. Yep. And the MyPillow My Slippers, 40% off with the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. We're going to take a break. When we get back, Dr. Fauci got caught saying terrible things about a United States senator on a hot mic that he didn't realize was on. And we're going to share that with you and a whole bunch more. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Many times we hear that crises are opportunities, but to understand this, it's necessary to change the focus of how we see the context. This way, we can notice the ways that allow us to undertake what we think of as the new and what we want to manifest in our universe. The book from author Christian Franchini, Creativity in Times of Pandemic, available on Amazon, provides readers with 11 keys to develop your creative potential. Keys that you can implement in your daily life and discover a new universe of possibilities that will propel you towards the singularity of being. Since we can understand creativity as a key to a new state of consciousness that connects us with infinite alternatives, this requires reformulating the old patterns of information and beliefs to enhance the creative process in all its dimensions. This must-read book is a great gift for anyone who wants to manifest a new beginning in their life. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Creativity in Times of Pandemic from author Christian Franchini. It's a new year, and you have fitness and nutritional goals. But how do you start, and how do you keep track of your progress? With the 12-week Holistic Nutrition Planner from holistic nutrition student and author Jaclyn available on Amazon. The 12-week Holistic Nutrition Planner is the last food tracking journal you will ever need. It's divided into 12 weeks, and you can track everything: your exercise, body measurements, food intake, your reason for eating, your hunger level, sleep, your mood. And that's just the beginning. The 12-week Holistic Nutrition Planner will help you become more mindful and an intuitive eater. You will be able to identify possible food sensitivities by tracking your symptoms. You can track up to 5 meals per day. There are journal prompts, end-of-week reflections for each week, weekly meal planning pages, a weekly grocery list, monthly overviews, an appendix containing list of healthy fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, a 10-page notebook, motivational quotes, and a lot more. Whatever your health goal is, whether it's weight loss, weight gain, being more mindful, identifying food sensitivities or allergies, you will be able to track it all and more. Take that first step right now to improving your health and wellness. Order your copy of 12-week Holistic Nutrition Planner from holistic nutrition student and author Jaclyn on Amazon. There's nothing better than a great cigar and a fine drink. Sticks and Stones, hosted by Brent Elrod, is a weekly podcast that pairs fine cigars with premium spirits. Host Brent Elrod has been enjoying cigars since being deployed to Baghdad in 2004. He's enjoyed great spirits much longer than that. He's a Texan with a law degree, a retired veteran who served 21 years, including combat deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. You don't have to be a cigar aficionado or drink alcohol to enjoy Sticks and Stones. This podcast is enjoyable for everyone. Video episodes are available on Instagram and Rumble. The podcast is on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast, and iHeartRadio. Current events and politics are discussed too. Add Sticks and Stones, that's STONEZ, Cigar and Spirit Show, to your playlist right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to us on. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like the video. And if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, check it out. Just search Brian Craig, The Brian Craig Show on YouTube. I live stream on the radio every morning for 3 hours, as well as upload our podcast there. And I do a lot of other vlogs and everything else. I do live streams on the weekend. A whole bunch. My YouTube channel is very active, so make sure you follow me there. Okay, so Fauci was in the Senate hearing today, and he was just grilled. And, you know, these congressional hearings, no matter what house it is and no matter who is up there, it's always the same thing, right? Whatever party the person is from, you know, they're supportive, and the other party is always against them. And no matter how nasty it gets, the party, like Rand Paul really went after Fauci today. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I mean,
I wish he was our senator instead of Marco Rubio.
Yeah, I know.
Marco Rubio is a big nothing.
Yeah, little Marco.
God,
I mean,
he does nothing.
Well,
Rand Paul's got some cojones.
Rand Paul's amazing, and
the guy's been attacked.
He goes. Yeah, I know.
He doesn't give up. He does not give up.
Attacked on the street by Antifa. Attacked in his front yard by a Democrat neighbor.
He's a gutsy guy.
And when he's not in the Senate, he volunteers as a doctor. You know, during the
he's
pandemic.
Amazing. I really respect him.
And Rand Paul just took Fauci to the woodshed so bad that Fauci was asking the Democrat senator to butt in and save him. But when they would go to the Democrat, after all that, the Democrat would always say, "I want to thank you for everything that you do for us, Dr. Fauci. You're so amazing. I don't know how you do." But Rand Paul's amazing, and one thing Rand Paul brings with him, other than he's just great and everything else, and he's right on the money on everything, is he has the credibility of being a doctor himself. And he's not just a doctor; he's an ophthalmologist, so he's a specialist, which is even more advanced than you general practitioners. But he's a specialist with an advanced degree, little advancement there, and he's so he has that credibility. And Fauci is intimidated by Rand Paul.
I think so.
Yeah, and he's intimidated by him because he's a doctor that stands up to him. So let me.
And plus, Fauci doesn't even see patients anymore, and Rand Paul does.
Yes, he does.
He's like a practicing doctor.
Still, it's amazing.
And I think Fauci is intimidated by anybody who's a practicing doctor.
Yeah. Yeah,
because he's not. He's an egghead. He just sits in an office and just, when was the last time he, like somebody said, when was the last time he used a stethoscope other than to hang it on his neck?
Exactly.
As a decoration.
Exactly. He probably has it hanging from the mirror in his limousine.
Probably.
Those guys.
He's probably one of those guys that wear scrubs to the grocery store.
I love those doctors.
My mom's a nurse, and she always tells me, because she's been a nurse for a long time, and we would see people at the mall or grocery stores wearing scrubs, and she said that doctors never wear scrubs out of the hospital.
Yeah,
they only wear them when they're like operating. That's it. So they're not real doctors.
One of my friends is a doctor, and Dr. Matez, he advertises with us on the radio, Dr. Mitch Matez. And he always laughs when I talk about the guys that drive around with a stethoscope on their rearview mirror.
Yeah.
He's like, I know those guys.
Yeah.
He's like, I know those guys. He thinks it's
all
very
my
funny.
doctors wear ties and dress nice. And they put like a lab coat, but you know what I mean?
So anyway, let me just play this. This is the first clip here. This is Rand Paul just reprimanding Dr. Fauci, and it's just fun to listen to. So let's just play it and it uninterrupted. It's great stuff.
The anger that's developed with you, Dr. Fauci, is that you don't want to give us advice. You want to tell us what to do. You think you are the science, and that anybody responds to you, how...
By the way, I got a text message when I was pulling up this audio. That's not your phones, guys. I know a lot of you probably just checked your phone when you heard that ding. There might be another one.
Science, and that anybody responds to you, how dare you? How dare you criticize science? As if you somehow are science. That kind of arrogance, that hubris is really, that's where the anger is coming towards you. If you were one doctor among hundreds of doctors in the government who gave advice, I don't think people might object to your advice, but there wouldn't be such a degree of anger. But you are so certain that you're right that you're not willing to hear anyone else. 3 epidemiologists, of which you are not even an epidemiologist, but 3 epidemiologists prominent in their field, Oxford, Stanford, and Harvard. You maligned them. You spoke openly with Dr. Collins, and you did not disagree that let's paint them as fringe. You went after them and said, we will do a public takedown, not in Science or Nature or Lancet, in Wired, in The Nation, a left-wing publication. You've engaged in base politics. You wonder why there's so much anger? You're not an objective scientist.
The thing about
Nail
this,
on the head.
The Democrats, they have all these things you're not allowed to question, right? You can't question science. Mm-hmm. And they decide science is settled. And, the thing about science...
They don't like you questioning them at all.
No, NBC announced about 5 years ago that they will not have scientists on who are climate deniers. So, science is always... I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. But science is always growing. It's always evolving. There's always new information coming in.
Even Fauci said that once, that's because he would change things and then he would say, well, the science changes. Science is based on questioning. It's all based on that. It's based on theories, hypotheses, and that's how you come up with, scientific ideas. You question, you wonder. So to say don't question the science is really against science.
Well,
science
they're
is
acting
meant to question.
The way that Fauci and the media act is they act like they have acquired all knowledge that will ever be acquired, that no new knowledge involving any of these things will ever be found.
They just don't want you questioning them, period.
Yeah, that's an arrogant thing. That's like that's like the scientist that you can't. The Earth is not round, in those days, or the Earth the sun revolves around the Earth.
Those people that question that were burnt. Some of them were burned at the stake.
Well, they're doing that in a different way with cancel culture today. It's a new burning at the stake.
Fauci said he said before this. Rand Paul said this. Fauci accused him of creating an environment of hostility that was threatening his life, that he was getting death threats, his family was being harassed, and he was blaming Rand Paul for that happening. And Rand Paul was answering him and saying, no, people are mad at you because of this. They're mad at you because first you tell them masks don't work and then you tell them to wear a mask. They're mad at you because you tell them X this and then next day you tell them Y. That's why they're mad. And they're mad because you're arrogant. And you won't listen. And I think the biggest regret, if somebody asked Trump and he was honest, the biggest regret he'd have is he didn't fire Fauci when this all started, because he's been a disaster from the beginning. And I always say the truth always comes out eventually in one way or the other. And the truth's starting to trickle out. And believe me, Rand Paul's making sure of that.
And you know what? Even if he wasn't, Okay, even if he's right on everything, I'm not saying that he is, but let's just say that
he's not right on anything.
But just for the argument, let's say Fauci, just say if he were right on everything, which he's not, but let's say he is. He's such a divisive personality, he should be out because he's so divisive that half the country will never listen to anything he says. And when you have someone that's in charge of a national, really a global health crisis, you need to have someone that's trusted. And he's lost the trust of people, which he'll never be able to regain. And he cannot do his job effectively because of that. Based on that alone, he should be out. Now, he seems
to me the kind of guy that just doesn't listen.
Yeah.
I mean, for a doctor to, actively try to publicly discredit other doctors that have opinions on this, I think says a lot about who he is.
Now, I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters for your support. It does mean a lot to us, and it does help us out a lot, and it's greatly appreciated. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So all the names you're hearing now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Jaclyn, Rick, Rich, and Nick. These are our top Patreon supporters, and if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this and every episode. There's a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com, and the website address, if you want to go directly there, is patreon.com/realbriancraigshow. Patreon.com/realbriancraigshow. Now, Rand Paul went first, and it was great, but there was an exchange after Rand Paul where that was very heated, and Fauci lost it, and he thought his microphone was off, and it wasn't, and he said some things that were beyond inappropriate. We're going to take a break, and when we get back from the break, we'll share that with you. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Back right after this.
Do you have a hard time falling asleep? If so, you are not alone. The podcast, Very Sleepy, is a podcast dedicated to helping people just like you fall asleep. When you listen to Very Sleepy, you will fall asleep to classic stories and fairy tales that you know, love, and grew up with. Wonderful stories like Winnie the Pooh, King Arthur and the Round Table, A Christmas Carol, and more. Very Sleepy is for all ages and uses a combination of stories and delta wave music in the background to promote a feeling of comfort, which will allow you to drift into sleep peacefully. Very Sleepy is available on Buzzsprout, Apple Podcast, and iHeartRadio. Start listening tonight for a great night's sleep. Add Very Sleepy to your playlist right now. If you love unique silver jewelry, you need to check out Silver City 925 on Etsy. There you will find a collection of vintage sterling silver jewelry and Native American rings for men, women, and children of all ages that are a tribute to cultures from around the world. From traditional Navajo and Zuni rings to Art Deco rings, poison rings, and animal rings. Silver City 925 on Etsy brings to you a variety of styles. They're beautifully designed vintage settings with gorgeous gemstones, including turquoise, amber, lapis moonstones, onyx, coral, tiger eye, and a lot more. Rings are like many sculptures that can be worn on your fingers to express who you are. Whether you are searching for yourself or a gift for a special friend or relative, you will always find something extra special at Silver City 925 on Etsy. Go to the shop right now and start shopping. Etsy.com/shop/SilverCity925. Share the link on all of your social media so your friends can shop at Silver City 925 too. Etsy.com/shop/SilverCity925. Are you a business owner or do you work from home and need a computer that fits your specific needs? Or maybe a gamer who wants the perfect gaming PC that you can depend on? Then check out Ridge Industries online at ridgeind.com. Ridge Industries will build a custom PC for you. When you visit their website, ridgeind.com, build your PC using their PC custom building feature. They take care of everything for you and ship it right to your door. Ridge Industry customers range from pro gamers to analysts and business professionals professionals. Their mission is to help customers just like you create the best custom PC for their very specific wants and needs. The PCs are built to order by certified professionals, are Windows 10 ready, fully customizable, and dependable in any industry. Whether you want the most immersive gaming experience possible or super fast workstation performance, Ridge Industry PCs will deliver again and again. They have built thousands of dream PCs for their clients who are 100% satisfied every single time. Ridge Industry PCs are helping professionals right now work faster, smarter, and better. Their gaming PCs are renowned for outperforming the other latest gaming platforms. Take that first step right now and go to ridgeind.com and start building your custom dream PC. ridgeind.com.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. So it got really exciting in this Fauci hearing today. And usually these Fauci hearings, I don't watch too much, but things were so hot with Rand Paul. I was there. There was another senator who I'm not so familiar with, Senator Roger Marshall, a Republican, and he was questioning Dr. Fauci not on science, but on his financials. And it got very heated, and Fauci at the end thought his mic was off, and he called the senator a name. But let's listen to the whole exchange. It's good stuff.
Dr. Fauci, according to Forbes, you have an annual salary in 2020 was $434,000.
You know, that's something people need to understand. Mm-hmm. Dr. Fauci works for the federal government. He is the highest paid person in the federal government.
Makes more than the president.
That's right. His salary is greater than that of the president of the United States.
You oversee over $5 billion in federal research grants. As the highest paid employee in the entire federal government, yes or no, would you be willing to submit to Congress and the public a financial disclosure that includes your past and current investments? After all, your colleague, Dr. Walensky, and every member of Congress submits a financial disclosure that includes their investments.
Now, this part I love. Dr. Fauci is supposedly the most brilliant doctor and scientist on earth. He is making decisions that affect every human in the galaxy, right? Mm-hmm. Literally, because of the entire planet. Here he is talking with his mic off. And this guy is making decisions about every human being in the Milky Way galaxy. Think about that. But this isn't the hot mic moment. That's coming up. Wow. Scary.
I don't understand why you're asking me that question. My financial disclosure.
Because he thinks you're a corrupt public official like Biden. That's why.
Is public knowledge and has been so for the last 37 years or so, 35 years that I've been director.
The big tech giants are doing an incredible job of keeping it from being public. We'll continue to look for it. Where would we find it?
All you have to do is ask for it. You're so misinformed. It's extraordinary.
Why am I misinformed? This is a huge issue. Wouldn't you agree with me that you see things before members of Congress would see them, so that there's an air of appearance that maybe some shenanigans are going on? You know, I don't think that's. I assume that's
Senator,
not the case.
What are you talking about?
Not the case.
My financial disclosures are public knowledge and have been so. You are getting amazingly wrong information.
So I cannot find them. Our office cannot find them. Where would they be if they're public knowledge? Where?
It is totally accessible to you if you want it.
For the public. Is it accessible to the public?
Okay. To the public.
Great. We look forward to reviewing it.
You are totally incorrect.
Well, we look forward to reviewing it.
Senator Marshall, Dr. Fauci has answered you. It is public information, and he's happy to give it to you if you would ask. Senator Moran.
What a more. Christ.
Okay, now, he took the Lord's name in vain, which I'm not going to do, and Fauci. And he didn't know his mic was on, and he called him a moron. But I know you couldn't hear it very well there, so I made the sound audio louder so you can hear it. And again, this is the guy. He's the smartest scientist on the planet. His decisions affect every human that is alive today and will be born tomorrow.
He has no class.
And
he has no class.
And he is very hot-tempered.
Yeah.
He can't even figure out how to use a microphone. First, he's talking into the microphone while it is off. Now he's thinking the microphone is off, and he's calling U.S. senators all kinds of names and taking the Lord's name in vain. And this guy's supposed to be smart enough to make life decisions for every human in the galaxy.
Well, and he's calling him a moron, but he can't figure out how to work his mic.
Exactly. So here is the audio of that turned up loud.
What a moron. Jesus Christ.
He doesn't like being in the hot seat.
Where are the Christian leaders about him taking the Lord's name in vain there? I'm not even comfortable playing that.
Yeah.
But we gotta, have to, because it was this hot mic moment. I don't take the Lord's name in vain.
I don't like when people say that unless they're on their knees praying.
I used to work at a radio station that was owned by a guy named Bud Paxson, who was the originator of the Home Shopping Network.
Yeah.
And he was a born-again Christian. And he had a plaque in the lobby of every radio station. And the plaque said that no one is allowed to take the Lord's name in vain at the workplace or on the radio. And there were some liberal people on the radio. Every other comment was taking the Lord's name in vain. And they were like, they could hardly broadcast. They didn't know how to do it, And Bud Paxson had bought all these radio stations and people on the radio, a lot of these radio guys I worked with were like freaking out over this. I don't take the Lord's name in vain. I'm not going to say that I haven't, because, when I was younger, I have. But
when I was younger.
But I didn't know. I I really didn't. But Fauci doing it, we don't have Christian leaders anymore. What happened to like the Christian Coalition and all these people, for him to...
They're afraid, I think.
I mean, to me, for somebody to be in a powerful position like he is in, or Biden is in, I believe they got to be godly people. And taking the Lord's name in vain is something I think people should be held accountable for at that level. People need to understand and know where their heart and their mind is.
Is it true that this mayor in New York City was elected by 86,000 votes, that only 86,000 people voted out of 8 million people?
Think about it. Yeah, think about this. New York City.
What is that, like 1%?
No, it's 3%. He 3% of the people of New York. They have very low voter turnout in New York City.
Well, 80,000 of 8 million is 1%, isn't it?
Well, that's an estimated number of the population. Okay. I saw on Greg Kelly last night on Newsmax. 3%. It was 3% of New Yorkers voted for
incredible. Voted
the new
period.
Voted the new mayor.
Period.
No. 3% voted for the new mayor.
No, but what he's saying is that's all that voted. That's how he won. Only 3% of the population actually
He's not
voted.
Representative of the people.
Well, listen, if you sit
crazy.
there and complain about things and you don't bother to go out and vote, then you deserve what you're getting. I'm sorry. And I feel this is a problem in California. I feel that if you're a conservative or you're fed up with the Democrats and you live in California, you got to get your ass to vote.
Yes.
I mean, you can't complain about Newsom and de Blasio and Cuomo if you don't actually go and vote.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're getting what you're asking for. I think California has the same problem. I think a lot of people don't bother. But I think if they actually bothered, I think they'd be very surprised at the number. But I think this whole thinking of, it's going to go blue anyway, that may be another liberal lie that they're putting out there that convinces people to stay home. Don't believe that lie. Please get out and vote. If you live the answer is not to move and uproot your whole life. The answer is to change your governors and your mayors and get out and vote so you don't have to move. This guy's going to be a big disappointment, like you said, Brian. He's going
to be a disaster.
He's already thinking about, like you said, he's going to be totally ineffective. They got this woke DA running things. He's going to be running the show, and this guy, but if you don't get out and vote, then you get what you deserve. I'm sorry. I mean, I go out and vote every time. Sometimes I don't feel good, but I have voted in every election. And our daughter voted, and we told her, it is your civic duty to vote. And I said to her, don't complain. Emily's not super political, but she understands things. And I said, people that don't vote, as far as I'm concerned, they have no right to complain about it because they're not doing anything to make that. It's a simple thing you can do to make a change. I was shocked at how few people,
3%.
They couldn't be bothered.
Well, that's
shocking.
That's a big problem because Democrats run around saying to themselves and saying to the public, we represent the people, we feel the pulse of the people. The Democrat viewpoint is a hugely minority viewpoint in this country. And what happens in New York City, it happens in California and elsewhere. Most people figure, well, a Democrat's going to win anyway. I'm not going to bother. And
That's
you know,
not true.
when so few people, there are not a lot of Republicans in New York City, but in a city that large,
You don't know that.
If Republicans secretly organized and didn't tip off the Democrats and
They
had a
would
mass
win.
turnout, they could get Don Jr. elected as mayor of New York
right,
City.
because so few Democrats are even voting. But the thing is, the thing that bothers me is you have 86,000 people voted for this guy. Things that happen in New York affect the whole damn country.
They do.
So we have 86,000 people who are deciding the tone of the country on a lot of these issues. I mean, shame on you if you live in New York City out of 8 million people and you didn't bother to vote. I'm sorry, but that's just unacceptable.
I
to
don't
me.
think
it's too important of a city to not. You know, it's not like Mayor Pete's town.
Yeah, South
this
Bend.
is New York City. I mean, it's important what happens there. It can affect everybody. In a
I don't
lot of
think I
ways.
have ever missed a vote.
Never. I voted in
I can't
every
think, and I don't think I've ever missed a vote.
presidential, congressional, and senatorial every election. Every 2 years, I go out and vote, no matter what.
One year, I remember when George Bush was running for re-election against John Kerry, G.W. Bush, and of course I voted for George W. Bush. I didn't know he was a creep and a war criminal and a liar back
But John
then.
Kerry was a bigger creep.
Oh yeah,
Maybe.
but I went to vote that day, and it was a long line to vote that day. I went when I got off the air,
Yep.
and I voted. It was a long line. I got up there, I couldn't believe it. I left my wallet in the car, and so I couldn't vote. I had to go. They made me go out to the car and get my ID, which is fine. But they made me wait in line again. They wouldn't let me just come up to the front because I'm
But
a
you did it.
Republican.
But that's right.
Because I'm a Republican.
They figured he'll go home.
That's what they were hoping.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. I waited in line
Good
and
for you.
I voted. But
Good for you.
yeah, and that was a long. I had to wait in that long line
GW
again.
won Florida that year, by the way.
Yeah, because
by
of my
300
vote.
votes.
And I was one of the 300.
Yeah.
It would have been $2.99 if I didn't vote that
So
day.
you were going to play one of these callers. You got a voice.
Well, let me tell
message?
people about this first,
Yeah.
okay?
These are always fun.
I get a lot of voice messages, and I used to play my voicemail messages on the radio all the time.
Yeah, I think you should do that more.
And I've wanted to bring that segment back.
You should.
And I keep toying with the idea of doing it, and I haven't. And my voicemail messages, it was a very popular segment. And what Steve Kane and I used to do is one day a week we would play all of our voicemail messages from the
I
week.
think you should bring it back.
And I'm going to start doing that
Yeah,
again.
it's fun.
I have a bunch of them from the last couple of days, and I'm going to start. I might play a bunch of them on the radio tomorrow.
Yeah.
But those of you that listen to the podcast, you can also leave voicemails with the same number. And what happens, the call-in number for when I am on the radio in the mornings, Monday through Friday from 6 until 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Remind them what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing. I'm giving out the number.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
The number it's a toll-free number no matter where you're listening to us. It's 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. That's the live call-in number when I take calls on the radio, Monday through Friday. When the show is over, I turn on the voicemail and the voicemail answers. And people leave me voicemails all day. A lot of times it's business-related. Sometimes
They're fun to listen to.
Yeah.
We listen to them, and some of them are really good.
Sometimes it's people who, want the number of a sponsor.
Right.
But sometimes people got opinions. And what we used to do is we would do this segment once a week, usually on Fridays, sometimes on Mondays, but usually on Fridays. And Steve and I would play the voicemail messages in the last hour of the show, and we're not only are we on the radio Monday through Friday from 6 until 9 a.m., we have an overnight rebroadcast 7 nights a week from midnight till 6 a.m. It's a rebroadcast of the morning show. The 3-hour morning show airs twice overnights on a whole bunch of radio stations. And a lot of people call in overnights, and some of them are intoxicated, things like this, but they're always opinionated.
Well, it's and a lot of times it's people that work nights.
Yeah.
And sleep throughout the live show, but they listen overnights.
Yeah.
And they don't get to call and talk to you live, so they'll call in and leave a message too.
But the voicemail is on after 9 a.m. until I go back on the radio at 6 a.m. But they're a lot of fun to listen to. I'm just going to play one now, and I'm going to start playing. I was going to play a few more, but I'm going to save them for the radio tomorrow.
This is a good one.
But and I've got some that are better than this one. And the voicemail segment was so popular on holidays. Like Steve and I would take off on Christmas or the 4th of July or something. Sometimes we would play 2 hours of just our voicemail messages.
Yeah, those are good shows.
Those are good shows.
Yeah,
they really are.
I'd like you to bring that back.
So I bring this up because those of you that listen to the podcast here, if you call 888-465-2631, you can if you can get me live on the air from 6 till 9 in the morning. But if it's not during those hours, you can leave a voicemail message and give your opinion on anything. This is just one. This is the guy.
And maybe it'll get played on the show.
This guy, I call him the dog walker because he walks his dog at about 4 in the morning. And when he's walking his dog, he calls and leaves me voicemail messages all the time. And I call him the dog walker, Terrence the dog walker.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, this is Terrence from Coconut Creek, the overnight dog walker. I know I've given you some criticism in the past, and that's just the way it is in the world of broadcasting, I imagine, and your audience. But I was out of town. I'm always going out of town to Ocala every other 30 days. I live part-time up there in horse country. Came back and just wanted to let you know, I just listened to your Friday show. I'm listening to it now. Thank God for you and Steve, and I'm so glad, and I do appreciate your words of wisdom, and I did watch that Bret Baier interview with Liz Cheney, and it almost made me sick to my stomach. Whenever he claims himself as to be fair, balanced, and unafraid, he's completely the opposite, unfair, unbalanced, and petrified. I watched him during the Hillary Clinton interview. He had an opportunity to call that wench out, and he basically just cowered while he was talking to her. And he did the same thing with Liz Cheney. I really want to like Bret.
Nope, he ran out of time, and he left a second message I'm not going to play. But, that interview that Bret Baier did last week with Liz Cheney was disgusting.
I always like Bret Baier, and I'm like Terrence. I want to like him, but he's very safe. Bret Baier, I think he's really because
he makes a lot of money. He's a rich fat cat. He's
very
comfortable.
Safe. He wants this Sunday Chris Wallace spot.
Oh yes, he does.
Really badly. And I agree. I haven't seen too many of his interviews, but I've seen a few, and he really
seen enough.
They're
of them
puff pieces. They're it's really a disgrace.
You showed me Bret Baier's Instagram recently.
Yeah.
And, Bret, I've always liked Bret Baier, but he's gotten very, like you said.
His wife's Instagram.
His wife is, like, in very good shape, young.
No.
She looks young.
She's had a lot of work.
Or she had a lot of cosmetic surgery.
Yeah. But she's not as young as you think.
Okay, well, I guess she's had a lot of good cosmetic work because she looks younger.
No.
His wife is about a foot taller than him.
Yeah.
In very good shape, incredibly thin, and he looks like a short, pudgy guy next to her.
Yeah, she looks very different. If you scroll through, I can't remember her name, but if you scroll through her Instagram way back, you see the evolution of her face.
Oh, really?
Her body.
I'll have to do that. I'll have to do that. She has work done on her body too.
I'm sure she's had a few things done, added, and taken away.
So Bret Baier's wife, I'm sure, has expensive taste, so he's not rocking the boat over there.
That's right.
So he's sucking up to Hillary and Liz Cheney.
He's not like Tucker. Tucker is really fearless, and Tucker really. I mean, you think Bret Baier would give Ted Cruz a hard time? Never. Now he might have a different style. He does. They both have different styles. Tucker's much more in your face and bold and ready to. He's willing to go there. And I understand Bret Baier wants to be more like a journalist and like a serious type, Chris Wallace type. But I think when you're and I know he does a lot of research, Bret Baier.
Yes,
I don't think that's the issue. I think he's extremely well informed. I could see him reading everything and taking it very seriously. So he knows what's going on. But I think he really holds back and really. But when they do these interviews, like with Liz Cheney or Hillary. Don't they agree ahead of time what can and cannot be? And they agree to certain terms to get that interview.
Well, I will say, though, when Obama was president, Bret Baier did a White House interview with him.
Yeah.
And he really pressed Obama. And Obama was giving very wordy answers because they only gave him 20 minutes to eat up the time. And Bret Baier called him out. He says, we only have 20 minutes and you give these long answers. He said to President Obama in the White House when he was president, and you're just trying to eat up my time.
He did say that.
And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. But, Bret Baier, I'll give Bret Baier a break because I like him. But he's trying to make himself like a non-opinionated newsman. And he's trying not to have any opinions. But sometimes you got to have opinions.
Come on. You don't have to have opinions. And I like that. but you have to be willing to call people out. These are public people. They're being paid by us. We pay their salary. We elect these people. They owe us answers, especially when they're doing crooked stuff. And it's his job to get to the bottom of things. I'm sorry.
That's right. Well, listen, we're out of time. We'll be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.
Many times we hear that crises are opportunities, but to understand this, it's necessary to change the focus of how we see the context. This way, we can notice the ways that allow us to undertake what we think of as the new and what we want to manifest in our universe. The book from author Christian Franchini, Creativity in Times of Pandemic, available on Amazon, provides readers with 11 keys to develop your creative potential. Keys that you can implement in your daily life and discover a new universe of possibilities that will propel you towards the singularity of being. Since we can understand creativity as a key to a new state of consciousness that connects us with infinite alternatives, this requires reformulating the old patterns of information and beliefs to enhance the creative process in all its dimensions. This must-read book is a great gift for anyone who wants to manifest a new beginning in their life. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Creativity in Times of Pandemic from author Christian Franchini.